Hello, tea family. Sorry we had technical difficulties on the first one. I don't know what happened, but hopefully we've got it all fixed now. It said I wasn't streaming to Facebook, so no idea why that happened. But here we are. Welcome back. Say hello, please. Let me know what you're drinking. I just had a sip of water, although I will be enjoying some tea later. Uh, as you can tell, we are mobile again because we just were at the Wimmy Diddle in Scott City, Kansas. So a little bit of a travel, but great people. Really enjoyed it. And today we're going to be talking about infusers, which is actually something that has come up a lot in the last couple of weeks. And I really wanted to go ahead and chat about that a little bit. Now, the other thing I have to say is lighting is kind of iffy here right now. Please forgive us. We're doing the best we can. I see Diane is here. Welcome. And you have water to drink. And Kim is here and she has Aloha Breeze cranberry juice for Betsy. There you go. I've been drinking water all day. I did cheat and had a hot cocoa really early this morning, but that was super early this morning. But I've been drinking a lot of water because it is kind of hot where we are right now. But that is great. So I wanted to talk about infusers, and what you can't see right now that I will be lifting up is I have several infusers of different kinds in front of me. And we have had a lot of questions about them. Which ones are best? What ones do you recommend? Different things like that. And I thought it was really time to go ahead and talk about infusers in depth a little bit. So let's start off with a fun fact. I know you all love those. And I do have my notes right here. Since I'm not home, I can't keep everything together. But the very first tea infuser looked nothing like mesh balls or anything else that we would use today. It was patented in 1897, so it's been around a minute or two. And it was actually designed to look like a teapot, which makes complete sense if you think about it. But we're going to be diving deep into the modern day tea infusers, not necessarily shaped like a teapot, but some of them may be. And we're going to be talking about them a little more in depth. So, what do I mean by an infuser? Well, this is really just a tool that we use to enable the tea leaves to expand and infuse into the water and then remove so that we don't overbrew and have our tea become bitter, and so that we're not eating tea leaves while we're drinking our tea. Think of it like kind of like a metallic bag, so to speak, for your tea. I mean, and most people are familiar with the bags because those came later. They're not my favorite kind of infuser, as you all know, but that's the kind of thing that we are talking about. So, did you know that tea leaves actually typically expand 5 times their regular size while they are infusing in the water? And this is one of the reasons why the right kind of infuser can really make or break the flavor of your tea. So, we're going to do some tea. I'm actually going to make several cups of tea and we're going to kind of talk about some of these. I want to start with the one that people tell me, oh, I have one of these at home. And then I always have to kind of sigh inside, and because they're not really recommended. And those are the little mesh balls. Now, it could look like this or it could look like all metal. And the idea is a great one, but that you put the tea inside, you close it up, and you close it and it locks, and then you put it in your teacup and it infuses, right? All the water can go through. It's small, it's cute. I get it. Unfortunately, these are often too small. They're not going to really remember what I just said. Your tea leaves expand 5 times. There's no space for them to expand 5 times with this. Sorry, everybody. I can't do anything about the lighting right now. I'm trying to, it's been that kind of a week. Message me for more details later. But all right, back to the infusers. There's no room for these to expand 5 times. And so that means that you're not going to get full flavor because the leaves can't fully expand. The water doesn't get in there evenly, etc. So that's one of the reasons why these are not. Now, can these be used? Well, sure. If you have herbals that, like a rooibos, this will actually work because that doesn't typically expand because it's not actually the Camellia sinensis plant. It's not the actual tea plant. If you have small herbal type plants or berries or something in here that's not going to expand, this could work. Typically, we will use these when we're testing teas because I won't do a full cup of tea. I do a half cup of tea. And so I can get enough to see if the flavors are working. But this is a lot of times if we're just testing, hey, do we want to put these flavors together? We will do a tiny batch in here, knowing that we have enough room to expand. But that's when we break it down to less than a cup. So this is just typical. And right after this are the cute little novelty ones. I had someone give this to me and it's so cute. I'm going to actually put it on something. And you kind of put your tea inside and then it sits and it looks really adorable. They come in all shapes and they have all sorts of things in them. But again, first, I got to figure out how to get it off. Look how little that is. Like that's even smaller than the basket. I lift that up so you can see better. It's even smaller than the basket. So there's really not space. Another one you'll see like this, or the medable. The other ones you'll see like this sometimes are they're long, almost like the handle of a spoon, so to speak. And those are just like these. They're really cool. They look interesting, but they're really not that great at allowing the tea leaves to expand, so you're not going to get full flavor and you're not going to necessarily get even water infusion. So not something that I recommend, but they're cute. I mean, they are cute. Some of them you'll see will literally sit like that right on the side, partially in, partially out on your cups. And I've seen them. They're absolutely cute. Now, another one that you'll see is something that you'll see me use a lot, and this is called a basket infuser. See if I can. I have to remember everything's reversed, and so it's really difficult to be on the camera while everything is reversed because I have to remember my right is left and my left is right, everybody. So this literally will sit on the top of your cup. You'll notice how big it is. I mean, pretty significant. And it'll fit right in there. You put the tea in and you'll pour it in. This really does, it's deep enough and it's big enough to really allow your leaves to float around and expand as much as they need to. And it'll fit most of these. Now there's a couple of different kinds of the basket infusers. So this is actually kind of like one of the basket infusers where you could put it in there and it has a chain on the end. There are other ones that literally don't look like this kind of a basket, but a different kind of a basket. And they'll have something to fit in. These are my absolute favorite kinds. Hey, Kendra, how are you? These are my favorite kinds of infusers. These really allow for the big space, better water circulation, fuller flavor. Your leaves are going to be able to fully expand. And speaking of that, we're going to do an experiment right now. I have this mug, so you'll be able to see inside, and we are going to make Emerald Garden today. No little cute packages of what I said. This is what we use to fill the packages, but everything from the event, including all our tea packaging, is sitting locked up in the chalk as we get to leave tomorrow to head back home. So I'm just going to put a teaspoon in here. And let's see if I can get you to, you can't really see that. But hey, you know, let's see what I can do.
What's Kendra drinking?
I don't know what Kendra is drinking today. Let's see. Let's see what I can do. There you go. I'm just going to hold up a light to it since my light is spooky, but you can see the big leaves in there. And so that's what I'm doing. I dump them all back in the jar now. All right, so I've got this basket on here, and I'm actually going to use one of these ball ones, and we're going to compare how big everything is. Again, sorry about the lighting, everybody. I am trying to work through this and figure out where to put my head and then move around at the same time. Now, same amount of tea, but if you look, I have already filled half of this. And if this is going to expand 5 times, definitely not going to have as much room. So that goes there. This goes there. I've got a nice big mug over here for this one. All right. If my handy dandy assistant would be willing to pour the water. Now, one of the reasons I wanted this tea is, first of all, it's really good hot or cold. Go ahead.
Move a hand.
There we go. Only give me about a cup's worth. That should be good.
Very good.
Is also because it is a 1 minute brew time, so we'll be able to do this really good. If I could get 1 minute on the clock, please. And let's see if you all can see. Trying to turn this. Let's see what I can do with light. There we go. The tea leaves are actually floating in there. They're all getting water. Whereas here, it's just the ball and there's nothing happening. So now I'm not going to touch that at all. I am going to just kind of let them sit for that 1 minute. Kendra is hoping Bill will make her some iced peppermint tea. I mean, that's a great tea to have, especially on a hot day like this. That will work. We're going to do 1 minute on the clock, and then we're going to compare what the teas look like and everything else. What?
Unless she tells him to do it. He can't guess.
He can't guess. I don't think he has to guess. But meanwhile, I want to talk about another infuser that I don't have, or something people use as an infuser, and that is, wow, 1 minute goes so quick. A French press. If you don't have an infuser, but you have a French press, first you're going to wash it really, really well so that you don't have that coffee stuff in there. But you can just gently press your tea and then pour. You're still going to want to let it steep in there for the appropriate amount of time. But I have had people ask me that question. Yes, you can use a French press, although infusers are usually pretty easy and not that difficult to get. I also like strainers. Little strainer you may have seen us use, and has a long handle. A lot of people even have them in their kitchen already. All right, so we are going to pull, and I'm even going to pull this one out first, my basket infuser out first. And what you'll see here as I try to do this, there we are. You see how much that the tea leaves have expanded, right? And they are now all out. If you would take and put that on a plate or something. Okay. Now, I need an actual plate for this one because I'm going to have to really reach in there. The other thing I want to show you with this is, there you can see the color of the tea, the green tea. It's still a little hot to drink. There we go. Okay. Now I have a plate here. Can you hold this right here? Thank you. Oh my goodness. The handy dandy assistant's being the so-and-so. All right. So I'm going to take this out. And then we're going to release this. And it is a little hot, even though it's only 175 degrees, 1 minute for the first brew. And what do you see? You see that it only filled the container and then it was stopped. You don't see, you just see a clump. If I empty this out, it's all still stuck together, and there are some spots in there that are actually still kind of dry. They haven't really infused in that 1 minute. They haven't been able to expand. Kendra said that she just found out it's not possible. He's going to make her a cup of Starlight Pear that Kim just gave to her. Yay! 2 minutes on the first brew for Starlight Pear, FYI. But there you go. And then look at the difference in the coloring. You'll see this one, the white, has a darker color to it because more of the tea is infused, and this is a lighter one. I can't hold 2 mugs and the light and everything else. So those are some of the infusers. Can I get mason jar? And those are kind of some of the infusers that we use, and one of the reasons why we want to have those fully open.
I'll take this up.
You're going to take, here, you can take this one off my hand. You can drink the one that doesn't taste as good. It's not going to taste as good. You're not going to get full flavor. It'll still taste good, but you're not going to get full flavor out of that one. Now, another kind of infuser is one of the things you'll see is I have big basket infusers, and it was funny. People were looking at them like, what's that for? And those are for when you're making big pitchers or mason jars at a time. The other thing you'll see are infusers like this that'll fit in a teapot, and they're kind of angled down. Those work because they have plenty of room. But my favorite is this one, and it literally is made to sit. So I can do this. It's literally made to sit in our, there we go, in a quart mason jar. And look at all that. Now I gotta wait for the light to come back, everybody. You're really gonna have that whole jar's worth of lots of water, lots of infusion, and then again, it's got a nice seal, so you can even close this up, and then you could just pull it out, and you are good to go. These are my favorite when we are doing a cold brew, or we're doing a counter brew, or a sun tea, a counter tea, that sort of thing. We'll literally put it in here with the cold water, and we'll close it up, and then we'll let it sit. Now there's lots of room in here for the tablespoon or so of tea that we would be using, or a little bit more. 10 grams, basically we'd be using 10 grams or a tablespoon, or a heaping tablespoon. But these are good for those kind of larger things, but those are also different kinds of basket infusers. You're still putting it in a basket type of thing, but they're really great for that. And that's why I want to talk about like how those baskets are better, but also show you some different shapes and different things like that. So, all right. So we did this side by side. In the chat or comments, let me know what you think about the different kinds of infusers that I've talked about. Like, which is your favorite? I do have one more, and I'm going to actually have him pour me some water in a second, one more time. But in the chat or comments, depending on how you're watching, let me know which one of the infusers that I've shown you so far is your favorite. I'm really interested to hear which one is your favorite. While I am waiting for those comments to come in, and while my handy dandy assistant is watching for those comments to come in, I also want to talk about this. This is a to-go cup, for lack of a better term, something that I've taken to work, and it's really good if you have like a hot water source at work, but you don't. This is just a jar, but in here is a little infuser, but you'll notice it doesn't have a lot of space, but really it's got more than you think. So I'm going to take my tea. I'm going to take the same amount of tea that I normally take. This is a double glass insulated, so there's actually 2 levels of glass, if you can kind of see. Double walled, thank you.
Kim has mesh cylinders.
Yeah, mesh cylinders. They are awesome, Kim. They are great. Again, let me see what I can do. Trying to find flashlights. There you go. So it doesn't take up much space, but it's still not quite big enough in there. However, one of the great things about this is I can literally go to work, or I could go to work, and I could just put my tea in there. And then what I do is I just undo the bottom. So now my tea is here. See that? Not much. See how flat that is? Okay. If you will fill this. Can you tell we get the sample jars in here too? All right, he's gonna fill that with water. Yeah, so right there. Okay. Now, here's the water filled up, and I can literally travel, and I haven't infused my tea yet. My water and my tea are completely separate, right? Well, all I have to do is flip it upside down, and now you see how much room this 1 teaspoon has. So remember, it was just down there and 1 minute on the clock. So we're going to let this sit. This is really great if you're going to be traveling, because I can literally flip this upside down, drink the tea out of it, and then I have tea ready to go for the second brew and the third brew. Let's see. Save the pieces. Yes, we're going to save the pieces. Mine are the mini version of the mason jar infuser. I now have two. See, that's it. Like, I like these kinds of the infusers. I love how big they are. It doesn't matter if it's, sloped like this one or straight like the other one. Those are my favorite infusers. I have the little mini basket one. It's about this big. But yep. So what you see is just the clear water up here. And we're just going to give that some time. And we're going to flip that over in a minute, and then we'll look and see how they've expanded. But this is a really great for travel infusers. This is what I would like to use. And look, you can already see that it is above that line down there. It's still actually infusing. And then all I have to do is let it come back. And now it is stopped infusing. Now you will have a tiny little pieces that'll fall through, especially if you don't seal it up like I did. Kim is really happy that you have more than one infuser now, Diane. But there you go. And then I can literally take this off. I can drink this. And then when I want to go, I can just dip it again. And look at that. Look at all the tea leaves getting bigger and bigger. And you can really see how big they get now. As I put them in there, and they have plenty of room to expand and dance around. And then when I flip it back and down, I think this is one of the greatest travel ones. You do have to be careful because it is glass, but it is that double walled glass, so it's very insulated, which is why I've been able to touch this the whole time, whereas I was having a hard time with this one. But all right, so that is it. Now, I want you in the chat or comments to guess how much you think the most expensive tea infuser is valued at. Kim, I will let you know where you can find that. I love it because I could do all three brews. I could put the tea in the morning before I went to the office, and then all I had to do is heat the water at the office, and I had everything else ready to go. It is really one of my favorite ones for going to and from the office. I didn't have to worry about tea. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to put the tea. I didn't have to worry about anything other than just adding more water, and then I could just drink it. It was perfect.
Self-contained.
It's all self-contained, and it's all right there. You just have to be careful because it's glass. So how much do you think the world's most expensive tea infuser is valued at? Come on, put them in the chat or the comments. The world's most expensive tea infuser has a value.
Fabergé.
It is not Fabergé.
Fabergé tea infuser egg.
Kim said your workstation might be drier. This is a true statement. I have to say it was very nice. Now, even if I have to travel someplace and I know that there's going to be water there, it's really easy for me to do. And you can put any kind of tea in there. There's plenty of room for the leaves to expand. It's great. So Diane has a guess. Let's see if I can. Let's show you the guess. Diane says $1,436.17. It's almost like she's seen the Price is Right or something. I mean, like, it's not quite that one. All right, Kim's like, I'm going to be more conservative. I don't want to go over the number, so she's going to say $100. All right, that means we have Betsy and Kendra left to go, and anybody else who's on here that I can't see because you haven't commented, go ahead and put it in the chat or their comments what you think the world's most expensive tea infuser was valued at. On there. I had no clue, but you all like these fun facts, and I was very surprised by this. So Betsy, Kendra, guesses? Handy dandy assistant guesses, because of course I never tell him ahead of time either. Kendra's $500.
$29.95. What's it, Mark?
It's not $29.95. I can tell you that much.
But wait, there's more.
Oh wait, there's more. Yes, I have watched that show. I think that's a show that everybody would watch when you had to stay home and you were sick. I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 1,000, but I think that would be a bit crazy, says Betsy. Well, everybody, I hope you're seated and I hope you're hanging on to something. The world's most expensive tea infuser is a diamond studded tea infuser. I have no idea if the diamonds help with the tea infusing or not, but it's valued at over $1,000,000. I don't know that I would want to drink that cup of Earl Grey or Serene Sunrise or whatever, but it's valued at over $1,000,000.
Silver or gold? What did they say what kind of metal it was?
No.
Probably
My
gold.
guess is it was probably gold, or gold plated with diamonds, but it's actually diamond studded. I just didn't understand how diamond studded would make the tea infuse better, but over $1,000,000 on a tea infuser. Fortunately, we don't have to go with those kind of expensive options, everybody. Just saying, I thought that was hysterical. Anybody surprised by that amount? I know I was. I would have been around like Betsy. I'm like, maybe $1,000. Somebody did something really, really crazy, or there are people that do gold plated or gold infusers.
You're not getting that for Christmas.
I don't want to get that for Christmas. Silver tarnishes, so that has a problem. And that's another thing with your mesh. You should rinse it out right after you use it. I know we put it aside for multiple brews, but after that you're going to want to go ahead and rinse them, because the tea can stain them. Yeah, Diane's like, wow. I was wow too. But these can stain. Proof in point is if my favorite basket one that I showed you earlier has some discoloration in it, because it doesn't always get rinsed right away. But that is one of the ways you can do it. Now, I will say 100% cotton, no metal, no plastics, unbleached tea bags that are really big like this. I mean, again, it's the size of my palm, are okay. They're a great backup, but really, some kind of infuser is going to be a better option. Kendra did a big eye roll. Kim said, Betsy said, who wants to bet that whoever owns it would flip their lid if anyone ever used it? You know what, Betsy? I think you're right. I think, though, they would probably use it if they had friends over just because they had it, and they would show it off that once, and then they would have it cleaned. Because if you can afford over $1,000,000 tea infuser, my guess is somebody else is doing your dishes for you, and they would probably then put it on a shelf and not use it again. Which means, what's the sense in it? I don't know. I can't conceive of it. Kim says, I can think of a lot of other uses for $1,000,000 than an infuser. No offense. Me too. Me too. I am not a proponent of spending that much money. And most infusers don't have to be super expensive. Again, just a simple strainer that you may already have in your kitchen works. You can pay for the bags, get the right kind of bags, but like infusers, I know we basically sell the infusers for the basket infusers. We sell them for what our cost is, and I think we make 2 cents on it, because I think it comes to like $6.97 or $6.98, and we sell them for $7. So they're really not expensive, and I can justify a $7 infuser way more than I can justify $1,000,000 infuser, even $1,000 infuser. Kim, I'm with you. I can think of a lot better ways that I could use $1,000 versus an infuser for my tea. And I love tea, but infusers, in my mind, they're not just about convenience. They really help with the flavor of your tea. You saw the color difference between the two. You saw how much the leaves could expand versus not expand, and that's all of the flavor. So why get this really amazing tea and not get full flavor out of it? That's just not a choice that I think is the best choice that could be made.
You've had some of your infusers for years.
I've had some of my infusers for years, and that's the other thing I like. I like the basket infusers because I can wash those suckers, and then every once in a while we do put them through the dishwasher or hand wash them ourselves, as well as rinse them out and things like that. We do that. But we make sure we get the stainless steel ones, and we're good to go. And so it's just a little bit of an investment up front, and you're solid. But I thought that would be interesting. Does anybody else have any questions about infusers? Let me know in the chat or comments. I thought, this was a good time. We've been getting a lot of questions because people always ask what kind of infusers I use or what I do and different things like that. You can do things old school where you just literally put the tea in and then you run it through a strainer. I know that that's always been popular, and you kind of pour it through the strainer and catch the leaves. I know some people just pour it out there. Remember though, the longer that your tea is in that water when you use something like this, the more bitter it's going to get because the tannic acid really continues to progress. And so that's why I think infusers are better. Although I have some of these, I really think infusers are a better option. And a lot of people don't like to drink their tea leaves or chew their tea leaves. What do you think? What do you think? Think they're important?
I think that we sold more the last 2 events.
Yeah.
More infusers than the last events we ever had.
Yeah, we've
one guy bought 2.
Infusers have been very, very popular. Very, very popular. All right. Giving everybody a last moment to comment while I drink my Emerald Garden tea. Yay. The first green tea I've ever really enjoyed because I don't like that bitter aftertaste. So anyway, all right. Well, if I don't see any other questions that you have or any other comments, I'm going to say thanks for joining us. And next Sunday, I should be back to my regular area, which means the lighting won't be all funky and our internet won't be funky. And hopefully we won't have a problem with it going on Facebook. I'm not sure what happened when we first tried to go live and it said that Facebook wouldn't connect. I have no idea. But thanks for bearing with us, and we will see you all next Sunday at 6 Central. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Bye.